Hi everyone, hope you are doing well today. My name is SHIEN with metric number 205330 and my partner G119 with metric number 209017 will discuss a topic about climate change and forest ecosystem. So later, we will focus more on how climate change affects the forest ecosystem. And our presentation will divide into 4 sections, which is introductions, effect of climate change on animals and plants, and last, conclusions. Before I start our presentation, let me throw out 3 questions. Question number 1. How do you explain that 30 years ago we had a different value than today? Or when you look at yourself in a dirty mirror, can you see your image very well? Absolutely not. It is the same when climate change occurs. Question number 2. What do you think the relationship between the forest and climate change is? As we know that forests play an important role in stabilizing climate. They regulate ecosystem, protect biodiversity, play an integral part in the carbon cycle, support the livelihood, and more and more. So, how about climate change? What is climate change? Climate change can be described as a change in the average conditions such as temperature and rainfall in the region over a long period of time. There's a lot of compelling evidence for rapid climate change, such as warming ocean, shrinking ice sheet, rising in global temperature, etc. According to the National Aeronautic and Space Administration's NASA, our planet's average surface temperature has risen about 1.18 degrees Celsius since the late 19th century. And to make matters worse, the year 2016 and 2020 are tied for the warmest year on the record. There's a lot of interesting facts and examples about climate change. If you're interested in this topic, you can get more detail through this website. So, after understanding all the terms of this topic, let us go to our main focus: how climate change affects the forest ecosystem. And as I mentioned earlier, the forest ecosystem here will be divided into 2 sections, which is animal and plants. And now I will present the effect of climate change on animals. So, my first point is climate change will increase the risk of animals. In 2011, there's a wildfire consumed more than 8 million acres of forest in the United States, causing more than $1.9 billion in damages. And this event was contributed by the warm temperature and drought conditions. Thus, the increase of temperature brings a greater risk of forest fire and finally causes the loss of biodiversity in forests. Besides, based on the study in 2011 found that in response to warming temperature, species are moving to higher elevations and higher latitude. The climate change is occurring too rapidly for most species to outrun it. And even if some species can migrate northward or outward, they could enter the territory where there's increased competition for food or unprecedented interaction with species they have never encountered before. And if for those that are already at the northern limits, they have no place left to go, it will cause their habitat loss and eventually increase the risk of extinction. Secondly, climate change affects the timing of seasonal life events of animals. This is because the time at which certain events happen in the life of animals, such as bird and moth, start their annual migration is mostly influenced by the temperature. Therefore, the changing condition may lead to mismatch of life cycle events, making the growth or survival more difficult when their babies are born, or migrating animals arrive before or after their food is available. As a result, climate change really brings a lot of negative effect on animals. That's all from me, and now I'll pass to Shen to continue the next point.
Thank you to SHIEN for the wonderful speech about climate change and its effects on animals. Now I would like to talk about climate change and its effects on plants. Basically, climate change affects a number of variables that determine how much plants can grow. A 7% decline in the average number of freezing days will actually aid plant growth. According to the study, which rely on an analysis of satellite data and weather projections by environmentalists. For example, when the number of winter days are reduced or extreme temperature conditions, plants are able to bear fruit faster and to produce more flowers instead. At the same time, extreme temperatures, followed by a decrease in water availability and changes to soil conditions, will actually make it more difficult for plants to thrive. This is because acidic conditions of the soil slows down the rate of plant growth and development. Overall, climate change is expected to stunt plant growth as these factors reduces the chances for plants to live longer and healthier in the next few years. Moving on to the next point, climate change induced pests, disease, and weeds are important factors in the growth rate of crops. This is because increasing temperatures and precipitation allows pests to have improved winter survival, increased growth, enlarged geographical range, increased infectivity, and a competitive edge. These factors causes the plant cell walls to be destroyed by the toxins in the pest and which will reduce the natality rate of plants itself. In parallel, the plants are rooted on the ground and cannot move. As these conditions become unfavorable, the plants endure stress and reduce resiliency. Moreover, extreme weather conditions weaken plants and make them susceptible to pests. Temperatures outside of favorable range are damaging and potentially lethal to crops. This is because at high temperatures, enzymes are denatured by the sunlight, which will result in the inability for plants to carry out an effective photosynthesis, and it will lead to the death of crops itself. Evaluating the threats which pathogens will pose in the coming decades is challenging, as there are many interactions which must be considered. Climate change affects the growth of plants in three ways. First, as carbon dioxide levels increase, plants need less water to do photosynthesis. This well-documented effect was long thought to mean that there will be more fresh water available in soils and streams. Unfortunately, a second effect counters that, which will lead to a warming world that means that longer and warmer growing seasons, which gives plants more time to grow and consume water, drying the land itself. Lastly but not least, in conclusion, we have seen that climate change is having devastating effects on both animals and plants in the forest. We as humans should not contribute to the extinction of plants and to retain the water cycle of plants, which can be done by reducing the activities that lead to climate change. There are thousands of ways to take action for conserving and preserving our forests. Once we start to act, hope is everywhere. So instead of looking for hope, look for action. Then and only then, hope will arrive to your life. Well, that is it from us, and I would like to thank everyone for spending your time to listen to our speech today. I hope that everyone enjoy listening to this informative speech about us, and have a good day, and thanks once again for listening to our speech.